Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to Perfect Homes' third episode in our new series of Perfect Homes TV, which is streaming live to YouTube and Facebook. Okay, welcome back with me, Simon, and
myself, Paul.
Okay, today from a freezing 14 degrees here in Chiang Mai, well, not too cold, we are going to bring you one of our most sought after, well, most requested actually part of our series so far, and it's going to focus on frequently asked questions for people looking to rent a condo in Chiang Mai. We're not going to cover houses, though many of the points are the same, but houses do have their own special questions and features. I think Paul will agree with that. So today we're here especially with Paul today because he is certainly someone that answers a lot of these questions in emails. So let's try and get that information out. But before I start, I think we both want to say a big thank you to everybody new who has subscribed to our channel and is now following us on Facebook, because our subscriber count has grown considerably, and I believe we've been getting a lot of emails thanking us for our videos, which has been great. Anything to say on that side, Paul?
Yeah, we've had a lot of the new clients coming in that we've been talking to, either talking to before we started a live TV or afterwards, have mentioned in their emails how helpful the information have been so far, and the fact that they're finding what we're talking about really, really useful. So it's nice to hear. Keep letting us know if there is anything specific that you guys would like us to talk about. Then we will get to it in the upcoming episodes.
Absolutely. Okay, so again, also thank you to all the people that put great comments in the sections, in the comment sections last time. We have tried to answer every one of those comments. But do also just put the thank yous in there. We love to hear from you, okay? We love to know the real people are really listening, okay? This is not a mass broadcast. We're not trying to get to 20, 30,000 people at a time. We are trying to talk to you, the people that will be coming here or are already living here in Chiang Mai, or even if it's a couple of years out, we're still happy to help, as we've discussed. All right, so let's get started. Okay, obviously people have lots and lots of questions. We've tried to cover some of the points of living in Chiang Mai previously, but we get a high volume of emails. I let you answer some of that on the kind of the volume of emails we're constantly responding to, and how long do we follow these people up? How long do you stay in contact with these people? What would you say, Paul?
Well, firstly, to answer the first question, probably on the rental side, I would say around 20 new people a day coming in on the rental side. That would be houses and condos. I know today we're just going to speak more specifically on the condo side, but yeah, around 20. So I would say generally just over 200 people a week on the condo side, for new people coming in.
That shows a big interest in Chiang Mai.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about it in, I think it was episode 1. Chiang Mai is one of the most popular retirement places in the world. It's one of the biggest digital nomad places in the world. And then, so that's not only new people coming in, we've also then got the market of people that are here living in Chiang Mai already and are looking to move themselves. Perhaps we've helped them in the past and they're coming back and they have some idea of how it works, or perhaps they found somewhere on their own before when they first arrived, and they're looking to move, and so they're coming to Perfect Homes for them to help out. But there's a hell of there is a lot of people interested in Chiang Mai.
We've got emails dating back to some of our clients for 8-9 years.
There's one guy we're still talking to, and I remember first emailing him 6 years ago.
6 years ago, yeah.
And he's still talking about still not quite got here yet, but I won't say his name, but yes, it's 6 years ago, and one day I'm sure we'll get to me.
Someone doesn't dedicate 6 years of their life
yeah.
planning on retiring or moving to Chiang Mai and then simply give up on it. Well, they might go down to the beaches, they might go somewhere else, because you never know.
Yeah.
But we do endeavour to stay in touch. So that is a lot of people we're talking to constantly via email.
And a lot of the questions are very, very similar a lot of the time. Sometimes people have more specific questions about more specific condos, and when that happens and it's more specific about, for example, I don't know, I'm thinking more specifically the view from a condo, or what way it faces, and those kind of more, what's the area like around the condo. That's when that's harder for us to answer on email before someone comes to look. Yeah. What's the noise level like? That's so specific. Is it a quiet area? Well, what's quiet for me is not quiet for you, or vice versa.
I totally agree.
So that side of it is very. When we get to that point, we usually say, look, when you're here,
yes,
that's when you need to look at those points.
Well, let's put the disclaimer in before we go on. We cannot be, as a rental agency, held responsible for noise in the area or noise in the building. Okay, I'm afraid your neighbour, you might live in a nice quiet building for 2 years, and then a noisy neighbour moves in. That is out of our control. The location noise, we do advise everybody to check their location. As Paul says, certain people are much more sensitive to noise. Okay, some of the older condos are a bit more solid, so there's a little bit less noise maybe moving around the building from your neighbour to neighbour. Some of the newer ones, people complain a little bit more about thinner walls, but we can't judge what your tolerance is.
That's the key point. Sometimes I've walked in thinking this is going to be noisy, and this isn't noisy. I grew up on a main road in wherever, so it's your, what you think is noisy is not what the next person thinks is noisy, and vice versa.
Again, going back to what, Niemenheimen,
yeah,
prime example. Okay, Niemenheimen, there's a buzz of clubs, bars and music around. And the main point there is the aeroplanes take off directly above. When we go there and sit there, have a coffee, when pre-COVID, the aeroplanes were every 4 or 5 minutes.
They're just coming back.
They're coming back now. Okay, and people say to us, it's noisy. Other people say, no, I want to live here. The buzz of the planes doesn't bother me. It's part of exciting living in the town.
What would you say the ratio is for people? Because some people are absolutely, totally against Niemenheimen area for that. And then other people absolutely love it.
Yes.
Personally, I would say it's 90% don't mind.
Yeah.
And then I would say there's about 10% of people are absolutely very against the Niemenheimen area for the planes.
Please don't email us and say, I want to be on Niemenheimen where there's no noise.
Yes.
It doesn't happen. Okay, and we get that all the time. You move right off out of the flight path, right off out the way from the bars, and that puts you several K from Niemenheimen. So, but then it puts you further away from all the community and all the parts that you're looking for. So it's a balance.
It's a balance, and I think people have to weigh it up what they're happy with.
And again, disclaimer, we can't be held responsible for the increase of air traffic, in new bars opening, new restaurants opening, a terrible karaoke up the road with Paul singing in there. We cannot be, Paul singing we can be held responsible for.
That wouldn't be
but
too
the rest
good.
We can't.
That would empty the area.
Okay. So again, that's our first disclaimer. We'll probably put some more disclaimers in as we go forward, but let's get started. The first couple of questions we have touched on in the last video, but again, we will touch on them again very briefly, just to go through actually the article on our website. Okay. Paul, question number 1. Generally speaking, how long does it take to find a rental condo once I'm here?
Average, probably less than a week, 3 or 4 days, I would say. Most people will find it within 5 viewings, I would say. It does depend what you're looking for, the kind of spec you're looking for. But generally speaking, very, very quickly. We talked about it before, some short-term accommodation, and then you'll be ready to move in within, I would say, a week.
Yep, and we've touched on that a couple of days. A lot of people think that they can spend another 2 weeks looking, the perfect property will stand out and to show them, to jump for them. Generally speaking, it doesn't. And the best one for you just got rented. Properties here, you know, we can show, as we said, we can show you in the morning. They can be rented by someone else in the afternoon. It's done on a first come, first serve basis.
Absolutely.
Okay.
At the moment, there's a quite large shortage of 2 bedrooms around, especially in the Neiman area, around the 100, say, square meter, 120 square meters. We had on Saturday people viewing in the afternoon. The people in the morning put the deposit down straight away.
And they will move in.
2 or 3 people, unfortunately, were viewing today, tomorrow, later on Saturday. Unfortunately, have missed.
So to avoid disappointment, don't hesitate. Is that what you're trying to say? Get in there first.
We don't want. We're not gonna. You know, we don't want people to rush into decisions. But at the same time, thinking that as Simon said, oh, the perfect one's around the corner, the perfect one's around the corner, might not be the case.
Yes, and we do. You know, when purchasing, that's probably people do spend a little bit more time planning and thinking about that. But for rentals, sometimes you need to make that decision. And we've had people complain at our agents, say, I saw it in the morning, why is it rented now? You shouldn't have rented it. Well, they're not in control of the property. The market is in control of the property. Certain properties other agents have, other agencies have, and we can't control that. So our goal, and the general rule is here, once you've put a deposit down, the property is secured for you.
I think maybe we could touch on that later on, actually, the difference deposit, because that's a big difference, isn't it?
Yes, the booking deposit.
Booking deposit, maybe we can explain a little bit more why that happens.
We can talk about that in a bit, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a common question for people coming in. Why do I have to put down a booking deposit?
Absolutely.
Let's touch on that later.
Okay. So yeah, we can get you into a condo as quick, really, the minimum we can do is 24 hours.
Minimum, yeah, and it all depends. It does all depend on the condo situation. We don't want to overpromise and under-deliver. So promising within 24 hours might be a bit tight. It might not be perfect, exactly how you want it, but we will do our best.
Okay. Again, another one we touched on previously. Can you tell me what condos will be available in advance?
No.
Okay.
Very, very difficult, if not impossible. An example being the condos that we were talking about on Saturday. You know, they were available on Saturday morning. It's not now. Okay, so what is available now can be rented very, very quickly, and vice versa. People break contracts and then things become available. People were leaving and things become available. So the short answer is no. We do not know what's going to be available.
Talking about people leaving and ending contracts, even on a standard contract, just say they're coming up to their 11th month. We used to advertise that property was coming available on the 12th month, but we found too much trouble with that because tenants were planning on moving out, and then staying. Okay, so they didn't move out, so that property didn't become available, and that client was waiting for that particular unit.
Yeah.
Also, when a property is rented, it's not that easy to view even in the last month of tenancy. And you won't, if you do view those properties, you won't see them in their best light.
I can't remember how many properties do we rent where someone walks in the 11th month and puts down a deposit for the 12th month. I can't remember the last time it happened.
We've done it several times recently using the 360 tours, which I don't want to push out there again, but the 360 tours, if you're an owner watching, think about the 360 tour.
But the reason is because it doesn't show someone else living in there.
That's it.
It shows it as a fully furnished, or most likely fully furnished condo with no one living in there. If you walk in to that property with someone living in there, even if they keep it very nice, it's very hard to see yourself in there.
You don't want to you can't see yourself living in someone else's home.
Yes, and at that point in time, it's someone else's home still until they move out and it's all cleaned.
That's it.
So, I forgot, I've missed my train of thought, but I suppose from there, someone saying, well, why didn't, if they said they were going to move out, why didn't you hold the property for the other person? Well, the owner's going to want to keep that person in.
Yes.
So it's the owner's decision. You know, the owner's not going to take, an owner's not going to say to the current tenant, oh, actually you have to move out now because I might have someone coming in.
Absolutely not.
They're going to say, oh, you want to stay? Yes,
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Let's organise a renew.
Yes, in the final hours, even necessarily, if that
We've had
person's tenant's plans have changed, or they failed to find, or their next rental fell apart, they will stay.
And I think even more so in the last 2 years, we've seen this because of changing rules throughout the world.
Wow, yes.
People have been, I'm leaving, and not, or vice versa. I'm not leaving, and then, for example, then they've suddenly up to moved, and so it's been very fast moving the last few years.
Things have been changing on, as they say, changing on a dime, I believe the expression is.
On an hourly basis.
Yes, okay. Paul, what's the minimal rental period? Very quickly, for us, the minimum?
Generally 3 months, we would say.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about it in the first episode, and most owners want 6 months to a year. So you will find that you'll have a lot more options if you're going for a year, signing a year agreement. But we do have some owners that will take a 3 month. For when you're signing for 3 months or 6 months, generally the rent will go up slightly. So the advertised rental rate that you will see on our websites is for a year. So if you wanted a 6 months or a 3 month agreement, the rental rate will go up.
Totally.
How much?
Yeah.
It all depends.
Okay, so again, our focus is minimum of 3 months, but the maximum is an interesting question. What's the maximum rental rate length?
The maximum generally we do is 3 years, because anything longer than 3 years needs to be registered at the land office
At the land office on the title deed. There would be different laws and different tax rates required by the owner. So anything over 3 years needs to be registered. So generally everybody keeps it under the 3 year maximum. Okay. Longer leases can be done. There are methods people use, but legally it's a maximum of 3. If it's not registered at the land office, a 5 year contract is not valid. Okay. Okay, so generally 3 years. Okay.
And I would say recently I've seen a bit of a shift to more 2 or 3 year contracts. 2 years, I would say, gone quite a bit more of the 1 year people were signing for 2 years. I'm not really sure on exactly the reasons.
Well, it possibly could be they're trying to secure their COVID discount rates.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah, no, that could be. Let me get there, because we've seen prices drop dramatically over COVID, and those prices are slowly moving up. But people are securing long contracts because they've got the great deals at this point.
Yes.
So that makes perfect sense. So yes, okay. A little bit of a more open question. Okay, what is provided in the condo? Okay, what towels, bedding, washing machines. We know why we're talking about washing machines today. Okay, what is provided in a condo?
Okay, well, the first question is what is provided is what you see when you view it, or if you, if you jump on it without seeing the property, the 360 tour or the pictures. That's generally what is provided. If you noticed there was something that wasn't in there, as Simon said, for example, a washing machine, you can't ask for that afterwards. Okay, it would need to be part of the negotiations and give the owner a chance to say yes or no, not secure the room, move to the agreement, and then actually I wanted a new TV, for example, or a new fridge. The owner reserves the right to say no. So if there is anything, our agents will try to ask you, but if there is anything that is important to you, then make sure that it's discussed before the offer is put across, before the offer is accepted. Moving towards what is and generally isn't, bed sheets are generally included.
One set, generally.
Yeah, one set.
Generally, the bed sheets, I would say, is basically you'll see a bed set, because we like to presented properties, well presented. So they are generally one set. We always recommend you get your own, even if it's just another set, so you can rotate. But yes, I agree. generally, but if they're not there at the time, they're not included. Okay, so at the time of viewing, check.
I think more and more people maybe are not worried about having bed sheets included, but they're going to be there. So they're going to stay in the room. They, wrapped up and in a cupboard is absolutely fine if you want to use your own bed sheets. But they generally are included. All of the what do you call it? Cutlery, everything like that is included.
Again, a limited amount. Again,
yes, you're not going to get an unlimited amount. It's a fair amount for the size of the condo. If it's a studio, then there'll be maybe a couple of glasses, a couple of plates, and so on. If it's a large 2-bedroom, then there should be enough for that.
Yeah.
Towels are not things like towels. Okay, towels. I'm trying to go on to things that are not included. Towels, definitely not. What else would not be included?
Generally speaking, the towels is the main one.
No.
Extra bed sheets.
Yeah.
Again,
cleaning equipment generally isn't.
Again.
So like mops and stuff like that generally isn't. Okay, so that would be extras that people would want to buy. For what would be included, for what they would want.
So make sure on viewing your property, you open the drawers, you open the cupboards, you check the bathroom. If there's towels in there, they may be left behind from the last person. Some people don't clear everything out. They may be included, okay? But generally speaking, towels are not included. Bed sheets, generally one set. Cutlery, as you see. Cooking equipment, as you see. Washing machines.
As you see.
Perfect. Okay. A lot of condos do have. A lot of people don't have washing machines in condos because the condominium buildings have washing machines provided, coin-operated ones, or do what most people do: have it sent out. There's a great laundry service in Chiang Mai. I presume they're still going. Who come along, pick up your laundry, wash it, iron it, and deliver it back to you. All done. A very, very cheap, very reasonable rates for here in Chiang Mai. So, don't stress over doing your own washing. Talking about those parts, the cups and everything like that, the TV, it is, we keep repeating it, it's what you see is in the condo. Do not sit down 2 days in and say, oh, I want a DVD player. Not that anyone has a DVD player anymore, but for the examples, okay? So it's what you see, or make sure at the time of making your offer on the rental rate or your duration of stay, what else you would possibly like. But the main point here is also, remember, this is not a hotel. This is not a one-night stay that's going to be fully equipped for you moving in with a toothbrush and everything like that. I believe some of the Airbnbs do that. Okay, people really do want you to come in, move in, settle in very quick, and provide absolutely everything. Hairdryer, stuff like that, just the silly things. These are not. These are long-term, privately owned condominiums that every owner is different. Okay, the same as every tenant is different. So make sure you're clear, you check, and don't have presumptions that every room should have what the last room had or what your hotel room had. It's certainly not the case.
No, yeah.
Okay, so be prepared to go out shopping. Shopping's fun here, new experience for many people. So just make sure you're focused. Okay. A very common question, which we did also touch on the last one: can I keep a pet in my condo?
No. Is this again a simple answer? You would need to look at houses, and that will be in a different episode. But no, there are very, very few pet-friendly condos. I believe there's 2 in Chiang Mai, and then the owners within those, 99.9% will say no. Certainly the owners that we have will say no. So as soon as you email in asking, or you contact us saying, I need a condo, I have a cat, I have a dog, we will straight away ask you, is it a bad idea if we look at houses? Because we do not have any condos that we can offer you.
Again, another one people coming from the West, they have service pets.
That's, yeah.
And they actually, in the West, they're exempt from many pet rules, okay?
Yeah.
Here, they're not. You know, it's just Thailand has not caught up with kind of the service pets. You know, the jobs that they do, the work that these great pets do. Unfortunately, a lot of the buildings here, that's a dog, no exemptions. That's a cat, no exemptions.
It's a bit of a hard one for us. We do get, you know, fairly regular emails saying I have a service dog, and obviously we see them extremely different. And I'm 100% sure that dog is not going to be an issue in that building whatsoever. But it's not what we see them as.
No.
And it's not even what your owner sees it as.
No.
It's what the building
regulations.
The building regulations, and they can't, as much as we would love them to, make an exception for your, you know, as reliant as you are on your pet. Unfortunately,
they have to follow the rules, okay, and that's what they do. And again, like I said, most of Thailand doesn't have any exceptions for service pets.
I'm sure that would probably eventually they will. Eventually, I'm not sure when, but eventually.
I believe so too. Okay.
Not yet.
All right. Another main question we get asked, because in certain places around the world, how much do we charge the client, the renter, for finding them their rental property?
Yep. We don't charge anything. Okay. Perfect Homes is paid by the owner of the property. Okay. So when we show you different properties, and then you select the right one, that is all part of our service. Okay, so you are not paying us anything, and we, as I say, we're paid by the owner. We do our best to provide you as good a service as possible, but there are some things that we will be saying no to, and we'll be saying no because we know how the system works, the procedures work that are the best for us and for our owners. Okay, as I say, we do try to provide the best service possible, but we can't always keep everyone happy.
No.
Pickups would be a big example. Something like that, please pick me up from my hotel and drop me back, and so on and so on.
Help me move my bags, help me move my luggage.
You know, we're not, and unfortunately, sometimes people say, well, I'm paying you. Unfortunately, you're not. Okay, and we doesn't mean we don't want to say it in a rude way, but we're paid by the owner, and whether we find someone who needs someone to help them with their bags, or whether we need to find someone who's a bit more independent and can move the bags by themselves, we're paid the same amount.
Yeah.
Okay, so we provide the best service possible, but we do reserve the right to say no on certain.
We offer the
points.
equal service to everybody. Okay. Yes. And recently, you know, pre-COVID, we did do a lot of pickups. Okay, pickups, show around, take back. But currently, that service is suspended. Okay, generally suspended due to putting people in cars at the time and stuff like that, close quarters with people, and us having to move people around cars all the time, and different agents using different cars. So, in an attempt to protect our agents, we have restricted that service. Massively, should we say? Okay. I think again, it was a very good point. After service, we'll touch on that in a bit. Once you've moved in,
there's a huge difference, isn't there?
Yes, the pre-service, the after-service.
I think that's a huge topic, and I think is a big differential.
Yes.
But you know, and I think the viewers will actually really enjoy to hear about that. I was with a couple on Saturday, and I told them that, you know, this is maybe we should just talk about it now.
Okay.
So there's two different types of properties. Okay. Perfect Homes in Chiang Mai manage we have managed properties, okay, and non-managed properties. And what that means is that for the non-managed properties, we are the broker for that property. Okay. So we introduce you to the property. If you want that property, we provide all the contracts and support to get you going, and then you deal with the owner directly. The owner wants to manage their property. The owner makes the decisions on that property. So you communicate directly with the owner. So after that checkout, you know, we're not saying we're not around at all.
Check-in, sorry.
After the check-in, my mistake. After the check-in, we're not saying we're not around at all, but if you have a problem with your plumbing or you know, there's an issue, you contact the owner directly. If there's large issues in the large disagreements within the contract, please, we are there to support and advise the owner and the tenant.
Correct.
On how to follow the contract.
Yes.
And we are there again at checkout to make sure everything's done as smoothly and as close to the contract as possible.
Exactly that.
We're we're in the middle, we're independent, but if we saw something that was being extremely unfair, we would advise no. Doesn't happen very often at all. But we're not your day-to-day point of contact. The flip side is a managed property. The managed properties, we are the broker and the property manager. And we're going to talk about differences with the West, but sorry, I seem maybe I'm having some microphone problem. We're going to talk about big differences with the West, and I think this is one. In a lot of countries, the agent is automatically the property manager. It's not the case here, okay? But for the managed properties, we take care of everything. So the lady that moves you, that helps you to find your condo and checks you in, is one of your point of contacts when you have any issues, okay? And they will be there all the way through to support you. More and more people are choosing that.
Yes.
And once we explain to people who are looking, this one's not managed, this one's managed, 95% of people go, I want the managed one, because they can see our reputation, they can see that we do our best to take care of people, and that's benefit. The lady said to me on Saturday, she's actually renting a house here already. She deals with an owner that she said the owner's been absolutely fantastic, provided all the support necessary. She still wants to move to a Perfect Homes only managed property because she wants to deal with our agents, because she sees the level of service that we try to provide.
We're staffed up to try our best to get a tradesman and everybody into a property as quickly as possible, and we have the phone network of calling anyone that we need within a building and anything like that to deal with an issue in a very timely manner. Okay, so it does make sense for tenants to choose a managed property, but remember, if you're in a non-managed property, we have no power to call a plumber. We're not allowed to call a plumber. We're not allowed to fix a problem. We have no rights to fix any issues within that condo. So our hands are tied. Even if we want to, yes, people say, oh, you can call the owner. Okay, so I tell you what, you call me, I'll call the plumber, I'll call the owner calls the plumber calls the owner back saying at 9 a.m. the owner calls me back telling me 9 a.m. I call you back telling you 9 a.m. You say, I can't do 9 a.m. The whole process starts again. It is an absolute nightmare if we have no authority to take care of a problem. And then guess who you blame? Us.
Well,
yeah, or our agents. Yes. So we don't, for non-managed properties, we cannot be assistance for fixing any issues within the property. I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Yes.
Okay.
We've got a bit sidetracked, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that will be a whole new one, managed versus non-managed later on. Okay, Paul, very quickly, very easy. What kind of documents do I need to rent a condo, and what visa?
So you don't need any specific documents, any specific visa. Any visa, as long as it's valid, is absolutely fine. But you do need to provide your passport and show that visa, because the owner of your property is legally required to do the TM30. Okay.
What's the TM30, Paul?
TM30 is a government regulation whereby every foreigner living in Thailand has to be registered to a certain property. So within 24 hours of you moving into the property, the owner by law has to register you at their local immigration office. And to do that, they require your passport, which obviously is always on the contract, your visa and your TM6. Is it TM6?
I think so.
The white card, entry card into Thailand. So that's all provided to the owner upon check-in, and then it's the owner's responsibility to register you, the tenant. If there's more than one foreigner, two foreigners in the property, then they need to register everyone and then provide those documents back to you in case you are asked for them at any point during your stay in Thailand. If you move residents, then when you move, then you'll be a new TM30 will be done for you there.
Okay, yeah. So basically, a valid passport, a valid visa.
Yeah.
The rest is very simple. Okay. Okay.
If it's expired, some people say, well, it's expiring next week. That doesn't matter. It's the tenant's responsibility how they renew it. You could sign for a year with a 2-week visa.
Yes.
Okay. But if you couldn't get a renew for any reason, you couldn't ask the owner to let you out of the contract.
No.
That would not, it's your responsibility. Your visa is your responsibility, and it has no bearing on your contract at all.
Okay, very good. What do I need to supply you with? Some character references? Do I need to write you a big long 2-page email telling you how good a tenant I am?
We get that quite a lot, and we get large, long emails describing how you're a fantastic tenant, you've never been late on the rent, and so on and so on. You can provide references and etc. And it's always quite alien for us because we're used to it now. We understand why we get these emails, but it has no bearing here.
No.
There is the systems here. There isn't systems set up for reference checks. We deal with so many people. Say why not? We say, well, there's so many nationalities and so on and so on. The whole rental system is not set up, and it's actually a lot simpler.
Yes.
Hence why we can move people in so quick and so on and so on. And once you find the right property, you're in within 3 or 4 days. If we had to do all of those checks and systems and feeding back to the owners and so on and so on, how long would it take? I'm not sure. I've never had to do it. But
we just physically can't. You can't call, my reference is in Brazil. Can you call the guy in Brazil to check my reference? Email the ones in there. What, we're going to wait a week for them to respond? And then they just tell us they can't read it because it's in English or Thai or so on. So reference checks, to be open and honest, I'm not saying it's the perfect solution, but they're not used here. Okay, you will be judged on you as a tenant and your ability to pay the rent and so on.
If you've got the deposit, and it's a 2-month deposit, and maybe we'll come on to that because that will bring us on to the 2-month deposit. So if you have the 2-month deposit ready to go and you can pay your first month's rent, and there's no large red flags at viewings or anything like that, I suppose would be polite to say. If that is the case, then you will be able to rent a property.
Yep. Okay.
Just maybe we go on there. A lot of questions we get is about I just mentioned 2-month deposit.
Yep. Let's focus. That's a good point. Let's move on to the deposits before we move on to the contracts, because there's 2 steps to the deposit.
Yes.
There's firstly the booking deposit. If you've seen a room that you like and you want us to hold, or the owner to hold that room for you, the booking deposit. What's the booking deposit?
So the booking deposit is, and I think this is a little bit different as well. We talked about the credit checks and the references as being different to other countries. I think this may be a little bit different too. But a booking deposit is basically your commitment that you are going to move forward to rent that property from the owner. Okay. So once you say yes, I would like this property, we need to let the owner that we let the owner know that we have someone ready, that we're moving to contract.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a step to show, and we don't want to say people aren't serious if they say yes, I'm ready, but there's generally a little bit of time between the deposit and the contract being ready, depending on when you want to move in. And in that time, other people will be looking at a room. The owner might have it with other agents. It might be a managed property. We don't necessarily know, but we need some kind of commitment to show that owner we are moving to a contract. We have someone who is looking to rent your room. Okay. We then produce the agreement as quickly as possible. Okay.
Yeah.
We can send draft agreements if you really wanted to see obviously the kind of contract that you be renting. We send it. We can send it before you even start looking, in case you had any questions on the agreement. We have that. That's no problem at all. Okay, but we will ask you for a booking deposit, and some people say, look, can I move to the contract first? The reason we don't recommend doing that is because if someone walks in 2 hours later and is prepared to put down the booking deposit, who's the owner going to take?
That's exactly it. The person that's going to make a commitment and move forward, or the person that's still in the decision stages.
Yes.
From an owner's point of view, I know which one I would take. Because with no commitment, it's also possibly saying that they're looking at other properties.
Yeah.
Okay, oh yeah, I really like this one. Can you send me the contract? I'll get that one. I'm going to look at 3 or 4 more. It's all fair. We're not saying that, but no commitment. There's not. Why would the owner need to commit to you if you won't commit to the owner? Yes. Okay, I think it could be shown as called a good faith deposit and everything like that. Yeah. But it's generally non-refundable unless there is a major twist or turn.
The way I explain it is, if you're then sent the contract a day later, 2 days later, and you said absolutely fine, no problem at all, and then 4 weeks later you for any reason whatsoever said, actually I can't move in, or I'm not moving in, or I've changed my mind, that deposit is non-refundable. Yeah. If you got the contract a day or 2 later and you read it and you went, no way in a million years I'm signing this, or you said, well, I'd like the owner to change this, this and this, and the owner rejects it, that deposit should come back to you.
Well, again, if those requests are in a fair nature, okay, it's not just I want to change the whole contract, a standard listing standard contract.
No, but if it broke down at contractual stages,
yes,
very, very quickly.
But if the property was misrepresented, I think, and vice versa, or the tenant was misrepresented to the owner for whatever reason, or major terms and conditions have changed by the owner in that stage,
yes,
I believe that would be a fair cause for the booking deposit to be returned.
Yes, it's only then been off the market for a day or so. Yeah. It's not as
No one's trying to steal booking deposits. It just needs to be fair. Okay. That brings us on to the main deposit. Okay, in the US, I believe they have a deposit system which is the first month's rent, 1 month's deposit, first month's rent, and last month's rent. Different countries have different rules and everything like that. Here, it's quite simple. What is it, Paul?
It's 2 month deposit.
2 months security deposit.
2 months security deposit, and which is generally equal to 2 months of the rental rate. I don't mean your deposit is ever used as rent. In fact, it's not. It will never, and it will say that in the agreement, it will never be used as rent. But if your rental rate is 10,000, then you're going to pay a 20,000 baht security deposit, and then 1 month rent in advance. So you always pay the rent in advance. Yeah. At the end of the agreement, when you check out, everything's okay. Your security deposit will be returned to you. Generally, there's some cleaning costs and everything, cleaning costs, bed sheets cleaning, which is all stated very clearly in the contract that you signed. But your deposit, the 2 months will be returned to you. So there's always the booking deposit, and then upon check-in or signing the agreement, another 1 month is paid, and your 1 month rent in advance. And one very, very common question we get at the moment is, well, I've seen the new law, I only want to pay 1 month deposit. And unfortunately, people misunderstand this, and I think it's quite regular. All of the information that you will see on that, if you carry on reading about this 1 month deposit, you'll see there somewhere it says only if you own 5 or more properties.
We have that article on the website.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. The 5 or more properties, or the general situation is actually designed for serviced apartments. It's much more designed for serviced apartments to bring those rules more into line. Okay. So generally speaking, a serviced apartment is meant to, by law, take only 1 month's deposit. They used to charge very high electricity rates. Our rates are government meter rates, and it was just to bring those into line. Generally speaking, as Paul says, the condos that we manage or look after, most owners have 1, maybe 2 properties, so they don't fall under that law. Okay. Some people just think it's unfair that it's 2 months and doesn't even worry about the law. They just say, oh, I'm just going to pay 1. I'm a brilliant tenant. I'm going to do this. Sorry, the deposit is in place not because we're worried about you running off or breaking the contract. The deposit is in place to repair or fix anything damaged by the tenant. And again, tenants are very trustworthy. Many. Others, I'm sorry, we have to say, we found them trying to hide damage and everything like that and claim that it's not their responsibility. Remember, you're in a 10,000 baht a month condo. Half the time the TV's 15, 20,000. If the owner's only got 1 month's deposit, it doesn't even cover the broken TV. Okay, TVs, we've seen them. We've seen all sorts of situations where damage has been caused intentionally, unintentionally, generally unintentionally, thank God, by tenants. But we need it to be fair to an owner. The deposit has to be able to cover potential damage. It would never cover everything, it can't, but potential damage. It's unfair to ask an owner to accept a 1 month deposit, and we won't. We have a very strict policy, 2 months security deposit for the owners, and we understand why. Owning property ourselves, I will only allow in a minimum of a 2 month security deposit. There are cases where owners will require more in houses with pets, but we'll touch on that later on again. So yes, well, while we're on deposits, when's the deposit returned?
In the contract, it will say within 30 days. Okay, and we don't change that. Okay, because the owner requires enough time to possibly get quotes on anything missing or damaged, but so the wording in the contract will not be changed. However, it's all, the owner will always do their best to return it as quickly as possible.
For sure.
Okay, and that's generally at the point of viewing or just afterwards. The amount of deposits that go close to that 30 days is extremely rare. Okay, so as I say, yes, the wording will be there to give protection to the owner in terms of if they need to check anything or if they need to further investigate or get some quotes or even fix something. But in real life situations, the deposit is returned very, very quickly.
And we've got another article. We spent a lot of time developing our site on how to ensure your deposit is returned as quickly as possible. And we will focus on that in another article, another episode of this program. But there's lots of ways to ensure during the tenancy and at the end of the tenancy, your deposit is returned as quickly and as swiftly as possible. Would you agree, Paul?
Yes, and I think so say support in a week or two before is a big part of it.
Absolutely. Paul, talking about contracts, deposits, and everything like that, is the agreement in Thai?
No, it's in whatever language really that it needs to be in. Okay, but actually, we haven't got any Russian contracts or anything like that. Okay, it could be in English and Thai or English only.
Or Thai, depending on
if it's a Thai tenant and a Thai owner, then it will just generally be in Thai. If it's a foreigner, then obviously we'll have it in English. Yeah, sorry, not in any language.
But contractually, law in Thailand states it can be in any language, not that we provide them, because as long as it's in one language only, that language is legal. Okay.
And what happens when it's in two languages?
If it's in two languages, shall we say if it's in Thai and English, Thai will always overtake any other language. So the Thai is the predominant language for contracts. Yeah. Okay. But our contracts come along with with a contract and an inventory, picture inventory.
Very important.
Very, very important. We take pictures. We used to make a list, one chair, one this, one, and that was just a nightmare because there's a new chair or a second-hand chair which never was there. Now we take pictures. All the damage can be spotted in a condo quite easily. We take pictures inside most cupboards and everything like that.
We have very few issues.
Okay. So once you're in, who do you pay the rent to, and by what method?
Okay, so you pay the rent to your owner essentially, but it can be done if it's a managed property. You pay it to Perfect Homes, who then pass it on to the owner. Okay, or if it's non-managed, it will be direct to your owner. And the bank details are always in the agreement. Okay, they're always clearly stated in the agreement, and you can do a bank transfer for that. Some people even do it internationally, and they send it, say, 5 days before their rent is due, so it arrives before it's due. Or you can go to the local bank and pay it in. You can do. Most people have bank accounts set up. You can just do a simple transfer for that, but it's essentially to your owner.
Okay, yep, or the management company
or
to
the
be
management
announced. Okay, and then we distribute it to the owner. Okay, we're actually flying here. We've got a lot more questions, but we're going to have to skip a couple, or we're doing episode 2 on the same point. Very quickly, Paul, generally, besides the rent, what other monthly bills or annual bills are there required?
Well, there aren't any annual bills for tenants. The annual bills are 99% of the time onto the owner. So it's
Common area fees.
The maintenance fees to the condo. So they're always onto the owner unless otherwise stated clearly in the contract. But 99.9% of the time it will be onto the owner, so you don't need to worry about that. You will have electric, which 99% of the time is government rate, which is just over 4 baht a unit at the moment, right?
Correct, yeah.
So you will pay the electric, and that's put into your, what they call it, letter box in the condo, or sometimes there's something outside the door of your condo or slipped under the door, but you receive the electric. You then have water. Okay, water's dependent on the condo, but generally most people's water bill comes in, what would you say, estimate 300 baht?
A couple of hundred baht,
yeah.
Unless you're in a big house, water and gardens, but condos,
yeah,
a few hundred baht a month on water.
Yeah.
A lot less than $10 a month on water.
Everyone says, coming from the West, how cheap the expenses are here, right?
Yes, sure, yeah.
In terms of rent and in terms of the kind of monthly electric, water and so on. You then would have the choice if you wanted internet. Mm-hmm. Some buildings have a shared Wi-Fi. They're generally cheap.
But
they get... Are buildings getting away from that, would you say more?
I would say less and less buildings are providing Wi-Fi because of the problems, speed issues, everybody logging on at once. And to be honest, we're going to update this article. We recommend you get your own.
Yeah, I'm seeing it less and less now. Buildings that used to be 300 baht a month option, and you'd get a code, but it would be shared by everyone in the building. So most people don't take that option now. Most people will want to install their own internet, and you have a choice. The different buildings, some you have a choice which provider you go with. Some you don't have a choice, and you have to use the provider that I imagine has an agreement with that building. It might be 3BB, it might be Signet, but you will be able to install your internet. Okay, we provide English speaking numbers for those, so you can then arrange it for them to come as soon as you move in, install the line or turn it on depending on what's needed. And then the package that you pay is up to you. They start at around 500-600 baht a month, and they go up.
Just saw a gigabyte speed internet here with TV
Yeah.
only 700 baht a month. What's that? $20.
$20 with TV.
With TV is included.
Right. I was going to say, yeah. So because the other point, okay, so you've got your internet, then some people want a TV service, right?
Yeah.
And again, then that's
okay. Before we forget, generally speaking, in the rental contracts, the tenant is responsible for cleaning the air cons every 6 months.
Yeah, so that's very different, I would say, probably to what, I mean, I hear that it's different from what some people say to me. And some people do question, there's actually a few kind of common questions that we get from the contract, which is the cleaning at the end, the air cons, right, and the bed sheets. So maybe if we answer all three, because it's 10 years of experience of why we have these costs in the contract, right? Okay, so when you move out, when a tenant moves out, they want to be as clear as possible on what will be taken from their deposit at the end, right? So the easiest way to do that is to state on the contract that they sign at the beginning what will come out, okay? So if we just stop on the aircon a moment, we'll come back to the aircon. But we always state an amount, okay? For example, let's just say 700 baht a month for cleaning
at the end of a contract.
At the end of a contract.
Not a month.
Not a month, no. Sorry. So in our contract we'll have cleaning 700 baht a month. So that means at the end of the contract, 700 baht a month will come out of your deposit. Sorry.
He's getting a bit confused. I'm going to keep him on track here. 700 baht at the end of your contract. We're moving out.
Sorry.
No month. So he's not charging you 700 baht a month.
Another coffee.
I might make him come and clean it at 700 baht a month.
Okay. One-time payment at the end of the contract will come out. That will be 700 baht. For example, you know, if you're in a 200 square meter condo,
it might be 2,000,
it's going to be higher.
Yeah.
Likewise, if you're in a 30 square meter, it might be 600 baht. Why do we put that in there? So at the end of the contract, all you need to do is leave it tidy. You know, you don't need to worry about bringing in a cleaner, because what we found used to happen was that you thought it was really clean, the tenant thought it was really clean, and the owner didn't think it was clean, and then would try and charge you for it. But the tenant would say, well, I've already had it cleaned.
Or done it myself.
And
believe me, if I'm cleaning it, it doesn't pass for the next person to move in.
Yeah. And so it comes back to what your belief is, right? We talked about it with noise.
Yes.
So it would be the same. Is this what's clean for one person is not necessarily clean for the other. So we found the easiest way to do it, the way that stops all the disputes, okay? 99% of the disputes, is to state the fee before. So all you're obligated to do is to leave it tidy. Yes, if it's an absolute tip, there might be issues, but the owner then takes care of having it cleaned with that 700 baht. Likewise, on the bed sheets, there will be a bed sheet cleaning. People say, well, I'll clean them myself. It can be possible that you clean them yourself, but what are you going to sleep on the night before you're going to check out?
Yes.
Okay, so again, there will be a small charge for cleaning the bed sheets, and it means it's the owner's responsibility. You don't need to worry about it. And then that brings us onto the aircon. Once every 6 months, the tenant is responsible. Did I get the monthly right? Every 6 months. Yeah. Once every 6 months, the tenant is responsible to clean the air cons. Okay, that is whether you use them or not. Okay, some people say to me or say to us, well, I don't use the air cons, so I don't need to clean them. You do. It will be in the contract. And what this does, it means that the tenant is only responsible for the cleaning. Okay, which the price is around 700 baht per unit. Depends on the unit. Somewhere they're installed into the ceiling is more expensive.
Set type in air cons, yeah.
Yeah, but generally, let's just say 700 baht for a cleaning
per aircon.
You are able to bring in a professional company yourself and provide a receipt if you wanted to do that, but you are responsible for cleaning them. Once you have cleaned them, any other issues with that, apart from if you physically damaged it yourself, any other issues will be on the owner. Yeah. So aircons can be pretty expensive, right, to fix. Yeah. If you're an owner, a 3,000 baht issue with an aircon is not unheard of.
Yeah.
Okay, if you did not clean them, okay, the owner can put that onto you as a cost. So it's much better that you just take care of maintaining them with a clean once every 6 months, and as long as that is done, you have no further obligations in terms of
every
any
contract
charges.
clearly states you're responsible for maintaining the property in good working condition. So that is, very easy to move it over to condos and understand the reasoning behind this. Okay, so yeah, air cons, everything. I think that's generally the ones, isn't it? Aircon,
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And then it's we do those are actually from when people read our contract. I would say they're generally the 3 most asked questions.
Yes.
Oh, I'll clean it at the end myself.
Yeah.
We say don't bother because it creates more issues. I don't use the air cons. Sorry,
You're contractually responsible for
do,
cleaning it, because if an aircon's actually not used, it's not that good for a condo either. Okay, for an aircon unit. So they do need to be maintained if they're used or not used. So please don't waste your time asking us, oh, I haven't used that aircon. It still needs to be followed the contract. Okay. Very quickly, while we're talking about cleaning units and everything like that, do we provide cleaners and everything like that during the tenancy?
No, we don't. We do have cleaners for our managed properties after people move out or just before people move in. Sometimes the property will need a clean just before someone moves in. But in terms of the inside the tenancy, providing cleaners, no. The best people, there's
Some great companies.
We
Hopefully we'll have them on the show.
We
Yes.
will. Yeah, they provide. One of the companies in particular, I was thinking we have them on. They actually provide different services as well. Things like occasionally we get clients asking for maybe maids or
chefs.
Chefs is another one. Drivers.
Drivers.
Okay, and the company I'm thinking in particular, I'm sure they would love to come on. They actually have moved into that side as well. But no, Perfect Homes doesn't provide cleaning. They won't be involved in that side at all.
No, we don't. We can't provide outside support for any of the condos, managed or not, in those senses. Drivers, maids, cooking.
They're busy enough.
We're very
Cleaners are
busy.
busy enough, was it?
Yeah. So there is obviously very often the internal, the building has their cleaners and they can happily help. And there's other cleaning companies here. Like I said, we're hopefully going to have some guests on the show from one of those companies or 2 of those companies very soon. And they're highly recommended, but we can't take responsibility. All right, couple of last questions. I'm sorry, we're rambling on here. It's one of those days. This is, like I said, it was a very hot topic, so we're going to try and wrap this up as quickly as possible. But what happens? Okay, what happens if I need to terminate my lease early?
Okay, yeah. So if you need to, for any reason, okay, unfortunate reasons, unimportant, but for any reason you cannot complete a lease, you will forfeit the deposit. Okay, you're not liable for the remainder of the rent, which I believe is different to the West.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have a 12-month contract and you need to leave after 5 months in the middle of the contract, you simply be polite, let your owner know. They will ask you to, for example, to pay the water and electric.
Clear the electrics.
Yeah, clear the bills, and then simply return the key to them. You will not be liable for the rest of the rent due, but you will not receive any of your deposit back. The contract can't be switched to another person or anything like that. It sounds quite easy to do. It's extremely messy, and it's not something that we will be involved in whatsoever.
No. There is, generally speaking, no reason that anyone will allow you to terminate and return the contract during that time. No. We understand life changes, things happen in the world, things happen back in your home country, your job changes and everything like that. So you're not generally penalized, but you have committed to a year, 2 year, 3 year, 6 month contract, whatever it be. So you must honor that contract. If you can't, well, like Paul says, you simply forfeit your deposit to the owner. He then gets the unit back and it goes back on. You will not be hunted down around the world to get the remainder of the deposit. So don't try and leave in the middle of the night. which we've had, thinking people are worried they're going to have to pay. Don't, just send an email, leave the keys, leave the property in the best quality as you can, best condition as you can, and everybody will do their best to get the property back on the market. And also, don't forget, the politer you leave, easier for it is to come back in due course, okay, for whichever company, stuff like that. So it helps your future returns.
We've had people in the past that have left maybe not so good terms, and then a year later they email us, and
sorry,
that would be a bit of a reference.
There is a blacklist here, okay? There is a blacklist for tenants, and it's shared between all agencies for tenants that have caused
a lot of problems.
You don't
get on there easily, do you?
No, you don't get on there for simply breaking a contract.
No,
okay, you don't sit there for simple reasons. Anyone that is on the blacklist, it is a major. You have caused some major disturbances to the company, to the building, to the owner, to neighbours or something like that, and that has got you on the blacklist. We do maintain that blacklist. I'm sorry to say, but it's there. Okay, everything's going great, and I want to stay in my condo. Before we go on, is the price going up?
Maybe,
but generally
no.
Okay.
Generally no. Okay. Generally, the owner will be happy to keep you in on the same terms and conditions. Is it automatically renewed? That's a big one. A big question is I want to be able to. We get quite a lot of people say 12-month contract automatically renew for 6 months. Well, that's actually not, or break. I want a break clause after 6 months. Sorry, I've changed over. Well, that's a 6-month contract then if you want to be able to break it by 6 months. Okay. And here in Thailand, there is no contracts that is one-sided. So the tenant can break it, but the owner can't.
Yes.
Okay. If you want a 6-month contract, you have a 6-month contract. Towards the end of the 6 months, you will ask to renew. The owner can say yes, or the owner can say no. Okay, same at 12 months. But let's just say you're coming to the end of your 12 months. You're very, very happy. Generally, the owner will be more than happy to keep you on the same rental rate. At the start of COVID, rental rates, people were getting discounts for renewing. Not so much now. Okay, they have steadied out slightly, but people, let's just say most owners, as long as you haven't caused them any problems within the agreement, are more than happy for you to renew. It's not automatic. You need to contact Perfect Homes and let us know. And we would then provide. That's generally done around 11 months, so about a month before the end of the agreement, and we would then provide
extension, renewal, extension.
On that, one thing I would say is one thing I would like to point out to be careful on. We had a case recently, and it has come up. Owners are well within their rights, okay, to offer you to renew directly with them at the end. Okay.
But beware.
Yeah, and so there is nothing wrong. They're not doing anything wrong. They offer you to. They've come to the end of the year. Everything's been fine, and they say, "Look, would you like to renew? If you renew directly, I can offer you a discount, for example." No problem. Perfect Homes has no issues with that. But what we will do is make sure that both the owner and the tenant fully understand that from the end of the first agreement, Perfect Homes are no longer involved.
And your prior terms and conditions are then expired, and also your inventory will be expired. We would then advise you to take a new inventory for that property, okay? Because that inventory that we provided was tied to that contract, the original contract.
We won't be at checkout.
We won't be at checkout.
After the first original contract, when people realize this, or when they have an issue, I signed with you originally, but then you signed directly with the owner afterwards.
Contracts and responsibilities terminated when you did not renew through Perfect Homes.
So if you're anyone that worries about service, or I was speaking to a guy the other day, and he said it absolutely will not. I only want to renew with Perfect Homes. He had no issues whatsoever, but it's peace of mind that a reputable company is there for him at the end, just in case he has any issues.
Yeah.
And we said no problem. His owner agreed, and the renew was signed. So if that's something that you maybe would bother you, then you know, it's always safest to tell your owner, no, you would like Perfect Homes involved.
That's it. Okay. I think we've got a little bit of a problem. We've been chatting on for a long time now. We've actually gone for our longest one, and believe me, we could probably go on for another hour on this one. Okay, so at this point, this has been a big topic and we haven't covered everything. There's still more. So we're going to update our article on our website, which the link is going to be in every place we post this video, on the FAQs. Please put your comments anywhere you like, and we might, you know, we will do our best to answer them, as we always do. So I apologise from Paul for rambling on and giving us loads of great. No, it's great. It's great.
Going easy there.
Great information, which is very, very important. Please watch the entire video. Send it to anyone else you know out there, because there is a few warnings in there and a few nuances of the Chiang Mai market, and watch it before you come, so you have a better understanding of, when you're talking to us and our agents, of the reasons behind each point, the reasons behind the air cons in there on the contracts, the reasons behind we don't recommend you do this, or we don't recommend you to move to there. So make sure you watch the entire video, and if you still have any questions on this, make sure you get in touch. All right, any last points, Paul?
No, just if there is any questions, any points that we touched, I mean, we went in quite deep on a lot of them, but if there was anything you wanted us to, that you didn't agree with, or you wanted us to explain further why that's how it's done, feel free to let us know in the comments. And if you have any further questions, please again put them in the comments, and we'll be happy to answer them next week.
Also, we do love to hear the differences between here and your country, whether it's America, England, UK, Europe, anywhere like that, Middle East. We've got clients coming over. Asia has a lot of different condo rental rules. India, they only do 11-month contracts or 2 years. The 11-month is because you hit different laws and stuff like that. So any of those little quirks to your country's rental rules and places like that, please do let us know. We love to learn. Okay. So I think for today, it's a
thanks very much again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week.
All right, and it's a big thank you from myself, Simon, and we again will see you again next week. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and add those comments today. Thank you very much, and a Sawadee Cup from us. Thank you.